Croeso I sianel Blaid Llwyd. That music. Yes, we are returning to 2015 Echo. We've got to try and keep these dates right now with these various Echo versions. So if you're wondering what's happening, why are we doing this? Well, I've mentioned it in my special video a while ago. I was thinking, just going through and getting the whole of Echo done now it's complete. So it's going to be an occasional video on the channel. We're not going to have a very regular monthly schedule. It's going to be here and there when I've got some time, when I feel like it. And so we're going to take some time over this. So we're going to start with Carl's route, and then we're going to carry on with Flynn, then Jenna to wrap everything up. And we won't be going over the first couple of days. I'll be picking up each of these routes, a little like I did TJ's route, where we start off with the decision on the Monday, day 3. So we don't have to keep playing through the same thing over and over again. I know there's a new CG and stuff in there, but if one particular person asks me, I will actually do those, but otherwise we'll stick to this. So saying that, let's get into the game. And I queued things up specially for this. I stand there next to my chair and decided. I'm tired and I feel awful. I just don't have it in me to chase everyone down right now. Flynn's back off to Echo, and it looks like Leo went after TJ, but I can't imagine the Lynx wants all of us crowding around him right now. I sigh, rubbing my face where I sit down in the lawn chair next to Carl. He looks over at me, slowly lowering what's definitely a joint from his mouth. What? I don't mind. I make a go-on gesture with my paw. Carl shakes his head though, pushing the shovel tube back into his front pocket. Yeah, I was like a dick when the other guy isn't into it. Want me to leave? He shakes his head with a quick flick of his horns. No man, I just do when there's nothing else to do. There's a moment of silence. I feel a little pressure to break it since I'm the one who interrupted his bake session. I actually tried it a few years ago. Carl looks surprised. Oh really? How was it? I shrug. Pretty bad. It was in a muffin, I think? Carl makes a face at that. Edibles. Yeah, well, I ended up eating one, didn't feel anything for a while. Next thing I know, I'm face down on the floor and everyone's freaking out. Shit, that sucks. It's kind of funny, but I don't think I'll ever try it again. Carl pulls the joint back out of his pocket and holds it up. Well, that's why I should use one of these. It's easier on the brain. Yeah, well, I guess I just don't like the idea of putting smoke in my lungs. Carl puts the joint back in his pocket. Oh, I get that. Again, there's a few seconds of silence. I try to think of something to say, but Carl beats me to it. Oh, crazy shit, huh? I assume he's talking about what just happened. Yeah, crazy. But you know how he is. He's regretting everything right now. Well, I guess I'd rather he just wouldn't say it in the first place. What he said to TJ, man. He picks on him a lot, but that was crossing the line. Carl scratches behind one of his horns, then rubs his nose. Oh yeah, guess I never understood that either. Making fun of TJ is like, well, making fun of a cloud. But Flynn doesn't mean it usually. He likes TJ. I've noticed during the trip that Carl's been pretty defensive of Flynn, even though he's the butt of most of the lizard's jokes. I'd seen Flynn trip Carl up and put him in several headlocks since I got here. You'd think getting older would change that, but I swear they roughhouse even more than they did before. So you and him still seem pretty close. You guys hang out a lot. Yeah, a bit. Mostly because there isn't much else to do. He's got a friend in Peyton he hangs out with sometimes too. So what do you guys do? I know Flynn isn't into video games at all, and Carl probably doesn't care to go clubbing every other night. He shrugs. Sometimes we go fishing, maybe just drive around Peyton. Mostly I'm just hanging out at home though. Playing video games. Watching movies, cybering with the chatbot, the usual. I grin. That's sad. I would have cybered with you if I'd known you didn't have anyone. I don't know, man. Nothing compiles all the fetishes of the people it's talked to. Skull my sexuality all kinds of fucked up. Oh yeah? Yeah, seems like no matter what I say to her, she's tied up in some warehouse, blindfolded with a few missing limbs. You underestimate my abilities. Oh, a gender swap that comes out of nowhere halfway through. Well, while you're not sexing up a robot, you do anything else? He chuckles. I can't exactly get around myself anymore. So I guess your parents decided against getting a new car? Yeah. Oh, look at this. He leans over and pulls out his phone. I can't help but notice it's a top model brand, probably around $700. But he's not showing me the phone. Instead, he presses at the screen a few times and swipes through some pictures. I swear I've seen an image of Flynn with his pants down mooning the camera. Carl swipes over it pretty quick though. Now I'm looking at the image of a brand new sedan. Except the front is neatly folded up around the pole of a stop sign. I recognise the sign. I've actually seen it right outside the convenience store, still bent at a ridiculous angle. Guess the town didn't care enough to get it fixed. The pole itself is almost embedded into the middle of the hood. Holy shit. Carl chuckles and pinches the screen, zooming in. Yeah, dropped my phone and when I came back up, this freaking pole was right in front of me. Really, Carl? Why are you on your phone? I don't know. When I get to town, I don't really think anyone's going to be on the road. I sighed and noticed a big round spot on the right side of the windshield, spiderwebbed and smashed white. Whoa, is that... Yup. Carl knocks on his head for effect, the hollow sound it emits seeming rather appropriate. You rely on that too much. You really need to start wearing your seatbelt. He shrugs and put the phone back in his pocket before leaning back in the chair and closing his eyes. What's the point? To not die? It happens to everyone sooner or later. Why not get out early if you can? He keeps his voice light under the heavy statement. I have no idea what to say to that, so I don't. He breaks the silence again soon enough. So how was PU? You see Chelsea at all? Sometimes I forget Carl went to Pueblo with me. It was only one semester, but we had a lot of fun. It's alright. I haven't seen Chelsea at all, though. Oh, it's a big school. Anyway, what's that project thing you're doing? Oh, just a news packet about Echo, really. Kind of about how it's falling apart. Huh. I've told him this already, but Carl never remembers much. Might center it around the whole body and the mind thing that happened way back. Carl opens his eyes and looks at me. So do you need, like, history stuff, like old books and records and stuff? Yeah, if it relates. Carl sits up straighter and grins. Well, why didn't you say so? We got a ton of stuff in the crawl space from way back when. Yeah, what kind of stuff? Carl sets a hoof against one of the rocks circling the fire pit and starts rocking his chair back. Well, whatever my family kept over the years. That one guy, Carl snaps his fingers a few times. You know, the guy founded this place, James? Yeah, sure. He's like my great-great-great-grandfather or something. I think we still have some of that stuff from back in the day. My parents were thinking about setting up an Echo Museum thing, but they never did. This might actually be useful to me. All I'd planned was to maybe look over some old newspapers or town records and be done with it. Actually seeing some old stuff up close could be pretty cool. That might be a good idea, actually. Carl grins. Awesome. Always kind of want to look through that stuff. The crawl space is damn creepy. Are you free tonight? The first time, Carl actually looks really excited. Oh wait, never mind. Lynn's taking me to a dentist appointment early in the morning. How about around 11 tomorrow? I smile. Sounds like a plan. Sweet. Whoa! Carl gives an excited kick off the rock, and as the chair's tipping back, the back legs practically snap under his weight. He sends slamming down on his rear, the chair a crumpled mess under his ass. I laugh, and of course I feel bad, but Carl just gets over the sheepish smile, looking down the broken pile. Well, Leo's going to be pissed. I'm driving down the road alongside the lake. Carl's sitting next to me. He's in the chair that he broke. I keep telling him to wear his seatbelt, but he won't. I Turn down a road I don't remember. It goes straight down towards the lake. For some reason I can't stop. I brace myself for the impact, but I hardly feel anything. We just glide into the lake. I start trying to take off the seatbelt, but it's stuck. I look over at Carl and he smiles before opening his door. Water rushes in and he starts to step out. Soon the water is over my head and it doesn't matter that I'm an otter. Turns out it's a good idea to hang out with Carl today. After texting back and forth with Leo, I learned that he's actually planning a birthday party for the ram. It's a little weird since Carl's birthday isn't for another month, but I guess it's just an excuse to have a party. Leo tells me to keep Carl distracted for the day while I go shopping for decorations and gifts. He also tells me to get my gift for Carl, which is fine with me. TJ's pretty bummed though, considering it throws off his hiking plans, but Jenna promises him they'll at least hike half the trail. I want to talk to him, but he's acting pretty cold towards me, probably because I'm bailing on my promise to go with him. I drive to Carl's house because it's pretty far separated from the rest of Echo, up against the foothills of the Casa Demonio mountain range. It'll probably take me 15 minutes to get up there, and there's no way in hell I'm doing that in this heat, uphill, when I've got a car. The main reason it's separated like this is because Carl's house is a mansion. Carl's family's loaded, a legacy that's swallowed them ever since Carl's great whatever struck it rich over 100 years ago. James Hendricks eventually went on to start an ice cream business which, at this point, has spread out over most of the western half of the country. Carl's mom is the CEO, I think. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably get some shots of the mansion, considering its role in the town's history. Most of the old mansion's been demolished at this point. I think parts of it is still from the original structure. Probably best to ask him first, though. I walk up to the front door and ring the doorbell, listening to the fancy chime inside. I wait for about a minute, starting to wonder if Carl is asleep or just high off his ass, when I hear some voices from behind the house. I'm definitely recognising the crackly timbre of Carl's voice, along with the high tenor of Flynn's. I head around the house, stepping carefully through the desert landscape and walk into the backyard. "'Cause you want to make out with him?" "No, it makes you like to make things weird. I just want it to be relaxed." That's when Carl notices me as I round the corner, clutching my camera bag to my side. He's leaning over a bush with a giant set of clippers while Flynn lounges up against the wall watching him. "Whoa, Chase." Carl's ears perk and he grins. "Sorry, Flynn." Carl rose his big head to the lizard. "We're supposed to be watching for you." Flynn doesn't look at me right away, instead choosing to pull the toothpick he's chewing on out of his muzzle to look at it. He's still embarrassed about yesterday. Good. That's alright, wasn't hard to hear you guys from the front. "Yeah, just doing some yard work, obviously." He rubs behind his head. "I promised my parents I'd get this done before they got back." Carl starts sniffing at the bush again. He's unusually sharp right now. I'm guessing he hasn't had anything to smoke. The way it's jarring seems so animated. Well, looks like you're doing a good job. "Oh, he's only moving this fast. He wants to hang out with you, Chase." Even though the sentence is technically being said to me, I feel like Flynn's directing it at Carl. Carl furrows his brow. "Chase, you can go outside if you want. The back is open." I think that's a good idea, because it's clear now that I walked in on an argument. "Should have seen him a few minutes ago. It's like he had a girlfriend coming over." Carl sighs loudly and his snips start to get a bit more violent. "No, I'm just glad to have some company that isn't only you, Flynn." Flynn looks annoyed, and that annoys me. He didn't have the right to be frustrated with anyone after yesterday. "Already? All seemed to be enough for you in the past." Flynn makes a kissy face. I have no idea if this is one of their inside jokes or not. Carl stops snipping for a second, then starts up again more slowly. "Well, you know, lizards can be fun, but they don't have all the parts that I like, if you know what I mean." Carl smirks sideways at Flynn. Flynn sneers back, and though I've decided they're still joking, there's definitely a growing tension between them. What are you saying there, Carl? Carl stops sniffing and plants the point of the clippers into the ground, leaning on as he turns to face Flynn. What I'm saying is you got no Before Carl can finish his sentence, Flynn turns to the right away from him. This also brings his fat tail around to slam into Carl's crotch with a whap that makes me cringe. Carl jumps, then squeaks for toppling to the ground. Oh man, my nuts! Yeah, definitely wish I had all those, all danked invulnerable and shit. Anyway, I'll leave you two sluts alone. Flynn sticks the toothpick back into his muzzle. I have to consciously try to not to cover my crotch while he walks by me. He hasn't looked at me this whole time. Once Flynn's gone, I sidle up to Carl, who's still curled up on the ground, holding himself while he mutters under his breath. You alright? Fuck, no. There's not really anything I can do, so I rub his shoulder with a toe comfortingly, and he freezes up as I do, looking at my foot. I'm alright though. He gets himself into a sitting position before he gets up awkwardly, standing bow-legged. I've got how much Flynn likes to hit people in the nuts. I'll get him back. It still hurts him if you hit it hard enough. As he stands there, doubled over with his paws on his knees, I look around. Carl's house has actual grass in the back, which is rare in Echo. Most people either xeriscape or just let the sagebrush take over. Another rarity, the two tall trees on either side of the yard. That's when I notice how empty one of them looks. Hey, where'd the treehouse go? Carl follows my gaze. Oh yeah, my dad took it down a few years ago. It's falling apart. His dad also built the treehouse. I can remember hanging out up there, playing on our portable game consoles with the fan at full blast. Even then, it's still almost too hot to hang out up there. I walk up to the base of the tree and put my hand against the trunk, grinning. Man, remember all the shit we did up there? Carl shuffles up next to me, still bow-legged, and grins too. Yeah, good times. I think about climbing it. I noticed that the branch we used to use as a foothold has been cut off. Your dad ruined this thing. Carl scrapes the spot where the branch used to be with the hoof. Yeah, I guess it made the mowing harder. We didn't use it anymore, so we just cut it off. I can see Carl's looking for way up too, and soon enough his eyes set on the branch just above his head. I don't know if... Carl's already jumping to grab onto the branch with both paws. It doesn't look very sturdy. Dude, that's gonna break. So I'm fucking fat, I'll bounce. I'm about to tell him again the branch is definitely going to break. I notice his shirt riding all the way up over his round belly. It's not like he's a bag of lard though. It's a controlled type of gut, held tight with the muscles underneath pulling it in as he flexes. He notices me staring right away and kicks out at me playfully. No pervert, where's my moves and now this? I jump back and he tries to follow me with the biggest swing of his legs, and that's when the branch snaps loudly. Carl goes down once again, landing squarely on his back. Oof! I cover my face instinctively, but I still hear the hollow thud followed by the whoosh of breath going out of his lungs. Slowly I lower my paws and find the chubby ram rolling back and forth on the ground, eyes wide, his mouth hanging open. A distant memory comes to mind of a time when we were both 10 and Carl was showing me a trick with his new bike ramp. The handlebars ended up in his gut when he landed, and he spent the following minute rolling around on the ground just like this. Good times. Shit. I suck in air through my teeth and kneel next to him again, patting him uselessly. After a few seconds of hesitation, I reach over and grab the front of the waistband of his shorts and pull up on it. Even though he's completely deflated, he looks at me with a bizarre expression and swats on my paw, giving a few breathless snorts as he tries to laugh. Hey, it's supposed to help you breathe. I've seen the coaches do it at school. I'm realising that Carl's way too heavy to arch up like that, so I give up and end up just petting his stomach, wishing I could help somehow. Just stretch out. His breath is already coming back. He follows my instruction anyway, and we sit there for a while, the silence punctuated by his heavy breathing. I start laughing. Jesus Christ, Carl, can you go one day without hurting yourself? He chuckles too, his belly shaking under my paw. Oh, now you know I don't go outside. He slumps back for a while, taking in deep breaths before lifting his head again. He looks down his chest on my paw and grins. Seems like you can't get your paws off me, though. I move my paw, letting him pull down his shirt as he grunts and sits up. How would I just let you suffocate next time? I almost did, laughing while I couldn't breathe. I thought you were trying to grab my dick. I put my paws on my hips. Is it because I'm gay? That might just be it. Carl grabs a branch that had broken off the tree and quirks up the corner of his mouth. Dad's not going to be happy about that. Who cares? It's just a branch. You know my dad. He gets up and tosses the branch over the fence into the desert, then turns back to me. Now it feels like Lucia fucking Lober just gave me the Capradora Congiro. I think I'm done for the day. Want to work on your project now? I'd honestly just rather hang out here with Carl, but the sun's enough to put a damper on that. Carl's house is like a labyrinth. I think he once told me it has over 30 rooms, which is fucking insane. The living room's about 5 times larger than one of my parents' house. It's hard to miss what looks like a 100-inch flat screen against the wall. According to Carl, the first mansion was even bigger though. After getting a drink, he leads me straight downstairs into the basement. Down the hallway past a small home theatre, what looks like an entertainment room with a bar, and then a small gym. The quick glance I get shows at least 10 fitness contraptions. After that, things get a little more dingy, and I can see how portions of the foundation could be decades old. Finally, at the end of the hall, Carl opens a door. I can see from the ceiling it's right under the stairs we came down on. Carl waves his paw around and finally grasps something before pulling down. An old light bulb comes on. I see a little door with a small latch on it. He opens it and I'm greeted with a musty smell as Carl slides through the opening. I follow tentatively, making sure I'm not walking into any cobwebs. Are there a lot of spiders down here? I don't think so. We sprayed a few weeks ago. It's extremely dark and I hear Carl grunting next to me. There's a floodlight here somewhere. Here it is. Like everything in this house, it's big for a crawl space. Pillars sprout from the ground in 2 rows that stretch back almost into darkness. The ground is covered in a tarp and I see dozens of plastic bins lining the walls. This is a lot of shit. Yep, it's a few generations worth of shit. I walk over the tarp to look into one of the bins. All I can see is clumps of cloth and towel through the cloudy plastic. Carl walks past me straight towards the back of the crawl space, his big hooves clopping along loudly. I actually helped him sort through all this stuff last year, so I think I know where it is. I follow him, but it's hard to see in the darkness. Should we get a flashlight? It's only in 2 tubs, I think. Well, I'll just put him to the front. I stand off the side as I watch him push bins around, looking at the labels on top. I look over at one of them and see Home Movies written on it, and it's filled with cassettes. Don't remind me. I look up and see that Carl's noticed me staring at the bin. What? Carl grunts as he lifts up a bin and drops it pretty carelessly to the floor. I'm pretty sure I hear something break. Mom had me help her convert all that to digital. Took all fucking year. Wow. Yeah, it's in the cloud now. You're actually in a lot of those videos. Really? Yeah, birthday parties and shit. Of course I would be. Carl's dad practically had a video camera glued to his eye back in the day. I used to hang out with Carl almost as much as I did Leah once we started going out. He went on their family vacation a few times. But then me going out with Leo changed things. Looking back, I think Carl was kind of unhappy with that. I can watch a few once we're done here if you want. Sure. That sounds like an old person thing to do, but I am curious. I found it. Carl slides out 2 plastic bins and I see history written on the top. Help me carry one. Carl lifts up the top one and starts waddling back toward the front. I bend over and lift a second and I'm surprised at how fucking heavy it is. I'm worried I'm not even going to get it off the ground for a few seconds, but I manage after a while. If Carl's bin is as heavy as mine, he's a fucking beast of being able to lift and carry it like that. I stagger after him, almost certain I'm going to go head first into the wall. Once we make it back to the stairs, I bend over to set down my bin. That's when I see a massive spider sitting on the lid. It takes about half a second for me to recognise the black shape and spindly legs. Oh, fuck! I scream and drop the bin, and before I know it, I'm halfway back where we came from, panting and shivering. Holy shit, what happened? I tremble and try to steady my voice. A fucking spider. What? You're really still scared of those? Man, for a second I thought my sister came home and then got murdered. You told me there weren't any. I didn't say that. I just said it was sprayed. Just get rid of it. At this point I've shut a little closer back to the light. I can see Carl grinning as he bends over to look at the lid of the bin. Oh, it's got babies on its back. My body gives a violent involuntary spasm. I shake my paws like a fucking girl. Stop it! He glances up at me with that stupid smile still on his face. Wow, that was gay. Seriously, it's got a bunch of tiny babies on its back. I think it's a wolf spider. I swear I'm going to pass out if he doesn't stop talking. I cover my face. Please. Alright. I didn't know you're that scared of him. You should probably get that checked out. Consider I'd almost crashed my car into the garage of my parents' house when a spider crawled out of the AC. He was probably right. Oh, just kill it. Why would I do that? I watch as he tilts the bin sideways. It's not going to hurt anyone. I want to tell him those babies are only going to grow into 100 more giant wolf spiders. I realise I'll just come off as a bloodthirsty asshole, so I bite my lips as I watch the black spots skitter off into the darkness. I walk back towards Carl. I get my shoulders as I try to control the chills running through me. I'm going to be paranoid the whole time. It's going to come back out to get me. Carl rubs my back when I stand next to him. You know, they actually claim a lot of other bugs that get into the house. Yeah, well, I'd rather be covered in ants than spiders. It's clear he's trying not to laugh at me as he starts popping the lid off his bin. On the top are a few framed pictures, and under those are a few more cardboard boxes. I release the latches on the other bin, keep my eye out for any black spots that might jump out at me. This one is filled with bundles wrapped in cloth or paper. Carl drags his bin to the steps so he can sit on them and I follow suit. So how do you think you'll use this stuff? I unwrap a smaller bundle and look at the gold pocket watch underneath. Wow, well, I'm not totally sure. Depends on what we find. Might film a few things. There's a paper tag attached to the chain with Robert Hendricks written on it. Who's this? Carl gives it a glance. Oh, no idea. Probably a great uncle or something. I wrap up the pocket watch and reach back into the bin to pull out the next item. There's something really cool about old stuff. My mind wanders to who might have made it, who bought it, and how much shit it must have seen. History is my first choice to major in, but Dad put a stop to that pretty quick. I pull out various other things, dolls, a pipe, coins, and another pocket watch. If this is worth a lot of money, why don't they sell it? Probably it's family stuff. I still think they want to do the museum. He gives an awkward cough. Besides, we've already got plenty of money. He's got the binder open, looking at black and white photos behind the plastic. Hey, this is him, right? He points at a picture of a very dignified looking ram, thumbs in his vest, wearing one of those big top hats. A fox stands next to him in a similar pose. I can see a piece of yellow paper set behind the photo and tug it out. James Hendricks, yep, definitely him. And John Begay, That's Jenna's last name. Carl's phone starts buzzing. He grunts. He leans back to pull it out of his pocket. Hey, Mom. Helping Chase with his project. No, of course not. I look over at him, but he gets up and clops back up the steps. Looking back down the picture, I wonder if it's just coincidence. I don't think so. Jenna's family's been in Echo since the beginning, too. So this guy definitely has to be a relative of some kind. I take a picture of the photograph with my phone. I'll show it to Jenna later and ask if she knows anything about it. I do that without a car? Carl raises his voice, so I look back up the steps. Wonder if I should close the door. Hearing him angry, I didn't feel right. His parents are always hard on him, but I guess they had their reasons. I spend the next 20 minutes shuffling through the bins, trying to be careful not to break anything. I decide I have enough and put the lids back on the bins, lying in the stuff I picked out along one of the steps since I don't have anywhere else to put it. By the time I head back up in the actual basement, Carl's gone. As I approach Carl's room, I smell it before I even open the door. He's reclined on his bed, an arm thrown over his face, the big window above him open. Clothes are scattered all over the floor, along with a few empty water bottles and bowls. Every inch of the walls are covered in posters like I remember, along with a few on the ceiling. Bookcases line the opposite wall, filled to the brim with comics and toys. He raises up his arms as I walk in and smiles. "Oh, sorry about the mess, dude. It's hard to keep everything clean when my parents aren't here to yell at me about it." The lazy, crackly sound in his voice has returned full force. His eyes are distant. "It's okay. Are you okay?" He grins tussily. "Dude, I'm more than okay." Since there's nowhere else to sit, I end up sitting down on the foot of his bed. Do they let you smoke in here? The smell in his room is layered and old, like the walls have been blanketed in the smell several times before. "Yep, they gave up trying to stop me. Better be in the house rather than getting caught by some cop outside. They just made me promise I wouldn't ever try into something harder." "Yeah, good thing I don't have already tried, Dick." He puts a lot of emphasis on the K as the bad jokes seem to just dribble out of his muzzle. I lean back on the bed, and that's when I notice his flat screen, just a 48-inch, is on. A list of video files displayed on it. "Oh, what you watching?" "Oh." Carl grunts as he sits up and reaches for a game controller. "They're all home movies. I was going to show you some of them." "How about a birthday?" "Sure." He scrolls down the list and stops when Carl's 8th is highlighted and presses play. The backyard I was in an hour earlier pops up on the screen. Now a long table sits in the middle of the lawn along with a massive bounce house. And not just any bounce house, but a giant 2-story one you'd find at the state fair. The video is time-stamped, April 19th, 2002. Fuck, I remember this. There are about 20 kids, mostly in the bounce house, and most of whom I've forgotten. Right now, though, the camera's zooming in on an 8-year-old Carl. He's messing with a giant Nerf gun, the kind that no kid ever gets, they're so damn expensive. And that's when 8-year-old me enters the picture holding a much smaller Nerf gun. His parents gave everyone a goodie bag that day. It had toys in it that I might not have been able to get on my own birthday. My kid self puts the gun to Carl's head and pulls the trigger, the dart bouncing off one of his horns. I specifically remember that moment. I thought the suction end of the dart was going to stick, but of course it didn't. The audio is filled with a deep chuckle. Carl's dad behind the camera. "You're a dick back then." "What? I was 8. "Still, you ruined my candles." "Oh, yeah." He got so mad about that. I start to settle back and smile. Been a long time since I've watched a home movie, and I've forgotten how nice it is to have this method of looking back. Kind of like when I get stuck on scrolling through all the old images on my phone. My younger self is trying to help Carl with a gun, lifting up the barrel and looking into the opening. "Careful!" Kid Chase pulls his head back with a jolt as Carl's dad yells and mutters behind the camera. "That's how long it takes him to trick Carl into trading with him." Carl's dad sounds exasperated but good-natured. It still makes me blush a bit, now knowing how aware Jim was of my taking advantage of his son. Our struggles with a Nerf gun gets the attention of another kid, though. A breath catches in my throat as Sydney bounces into frame. I can feel Carl tensing up next to me, too. He starts to lean for the game controller. "And here comes the Mormon boy." The disgust in Carl's dad's voice shocks me, and I hear Carl whisper a curse next to me as he fumbles the controller. Sydney reaches out and pulls the gun away from Carl as he looks it over, grinning. "Hey!" Suddenly his screen switches back to the file menu and we both sit there in silence for a few seconds. Sorry, I guess I forgot that. Of course, Sydney was going to be at that party, but I'd honestly forgotten too. If there was any other way to perfectly ruin the mood, that'd have been it. I glance over at Carl and see him looking down the gamepad, ears lowered, the insides red. "Hey, it's okay. I mean, maybe it's a good thing to watch." "Well, I didn't know he'd say that. I'd rather not find out what else he said." "Oh, yeah." I look around, trying to find something, anything to distract us from what just happened. My eyes fall on the shelves holding Carl's game library. Want to play a game? Just like old times as we co-op through Winter Castle. The fact he still has the old save files from when he's in college makes it all the more nostalgic. I get so into it that it gets dark outside without me even knowing, And pretty soon I'm looking out at the purple sky reluctantly. About time I go back. Carl sighs and pauses the game for stretching and dropping the controller onto his bed. Come on, sure you can't stick around? I don't know, I don't have any clothes or toothbrush. Well, I can walk over and get them. Carl seems pretty determined to make me stay, and there's not a reason why I can't, so I relent. Alright, yeah, this could be fun. Yes. Carl looks happy and almost relieved. It'll just be like old times. He rolls for his hooves. Speaking of old times, let's make a pizza. I suddenly caught Carl's enthusiasm. We go into the massive kitchen and pull a big frozen pizza from the fridge, and while it bakes we sit at the counter and talk. At this point the haze of pot has lifted from Carl's face. He's animated and excited again, swiveling on one of the counter stools. For the first time in almost 10 years I'm giddy and excited in the way you only get when you're at a sleepover. That makes it a little jarring when he pulls out some beers. I'm happy to have a few and we guzzle them down as we talk about past sleepovers. Pretty soon our reminiscing drifts into the present, and that's when the conversation slows a bit, Carl having less to say. I try to change the subject and tell him that he should come back to school. He just smiles and shakes his head. Three hours later, we're both laying back on Carl's bed, head to toe, having just watched a shitty action movie. We didn't end up going out to get my stuff, so I'm just in my boxers, pleasantly drowsy and buzzed. I hear Carl snuffle and look down my chest at him. What's up? He looks over at me and shrugs. Nothing, just thinking. What about? During our past sleepovers, Carl's always been afraid to be the last to fall asleep. He tried to keep me up by talking, roll over on top of me, and sometimes by just throwing shit at me. What if that's what he's doing now? I don't know. Life? That's a lot to think about. Not for me, huh? I look over at him again. He's holding one paw up, looking through his fingers at the ceiling fan. He's just figuring things out. Carl lets his arm flop back down over his head, blowing out a sigh. I'm not figuring things out, man. I don't say anything. It's cool that he's reaching out to me, but I'm not sure I can offer any advice he hasn't heard before. I wish I could be doing something. I think for a moment. You've done a lot more than some people I know. I mean, your art is great. You did go to school even if you dropped out, and you were working while you could. A lot of people out there can't even say that. Carl laughs, but it's a sad kind of laugh. I try and say that to my mom. She's always got something to do, always wants to do something. I just don't feel that. He turns his head towards me. I wish I did, Chase, but I just can't. His voice catches in his throat and I shrink a bit into the bed and pretend not to notice. The beer we've had is definitely partly to blame for this. He turns his head towards the wall, though. I'm guiltily relieved that when he talks again his voice is under control. I just wish it wasn't such a goddamn chore for me to just go outside, you know? I didn't know, but I nod anyway even if he can't see. He's waiting for me to say something though, so I clear my throat. You know, Carl, some people are just like that. He looks down on me but doesn't say anything. It's so hard to get out them, just don't. People figure things out eventually. You always just want to stay home and do that. Just try to figure out a way to sustain yourself. That's pretty much the gist of what my therapist told me. Do what makes you happy. He watches me for a few seconds. So, is all those problems you had taken care of now? I hope so. We lay in silence for a little while before I finally speak up. Listen, I'll probably come back a few times this week to work with our history stuff. Well, why don't we go out and do something? That'll be nice. I grin, glad at making Carl feel better. Cool, let's plan on it. Carl puts his paws behind his head and smiles. It's cool that you're here, Chase. It's cool to be here, Carl. Not just because it's nice to have someone to talk to. Oh? No, this house is fucking haunted. I don't remember falling asleep, but it's at that moment that something wakes me up. I jolt and lay there, trying to remember where I am. Carl's house, that's right. I stare at the ceiling, wondering what time it is. I don't bother to look at my phone though, because I'm already starting to fall back asleep. A scraping noise from beneath me makes me jump and I prop myself up my elbows, listening. Looking over, I see Carl staring at the ceiling, eyes wide. Carl? I whisper it and I'm not sure why. He jumps and looks at me confused like he'd just woken up. Huh? Are you okay? Oh, yeah? Oh, what's wrong? I think I hear something. His floppy ears perk up. I don't. And his eyes widen. Although I didn't hear anything right then, he definitely did. You hear it? Yeah, like a scraping noise I told you about? Yeah. He looks happy. So I'm not fucking crazy. We both sit there and listen for a while. It sounds like it stopped. Wanna go see what? Suddenly his eyes widen and his mouth drops open in shock. I stare back. What? Did you fucking hear that? I listen, feeling my heartbeat pick up now the car looks fucking terrified. But I don't hear anything. What? A fucking voice. The fur raises up all over my body as I listen. But nothing. Carl definitely seems convinced to us to listen harder. I just start to make out what might be a voice when Carl sits up next to me and gets out of bed. I feel myself start to panic. Some crazy hobo break into the house? Carl gets off the couch. Oh, come on. What? What the fuck are we going to do? Let's call the cops. No, let's make sure first. This has happened before. What? What did you mean? He puts a finger up to his lips. Grab something. What? I follow Carl out in the kitchen. He starts rummaging through the drawers. I follow him, hugging my shoulders, feeling a lot colder right now. With the sound of metal sliding against metal, Carl pulls out a giant steak knife. What the fuck? Dude, I've been hearing this shit for the past month. I've been too scared to go down there. But now with you here... He flashes me a smile. I'm gonna find out what the fuck this is. Here. He reaches into a spot between the fridge and the wall and pulls out a broom before sticking it out to me. I take it slowly. What the hell am I supposed to do with this? Oh, hit him. Come on. Carl starts down the stairs and I follow behind, holding the broomstick in front of me like a sword. I've never had to hit anyone with a stick before. I've no idea what I'm doing. Once we get to the small door leading down to the crawl space, Carl pauses and we both listen. It's silent for a while. Then... Shit! Carl looks at me like I'm crazy, not reacting to the noise at all. Shh! He leans down, a paw on the handle. Looking back at me, signals me with his eyes to be ready. I grip on the broom like a lifeline as I wait for him to swing the door open, and when he does... Darkness. Oh, shit. So whatever's down here is just slinking around in complete darkness? Hey. Carl says it unconvincingly, the fear clear in his voice. Then after looking back at me, oh, fuck it. He jumps down to the crawl space, disappearing into the dark. Carl! I stumble up the edge of the steps, trying to squint into the black. I hear Carl to the right rustling around and cursing. That's when light floods the crawl space. I quickly wobble down the steps, knowing if whatever is down is going to try to escape, it will be running right into me. Finally, I have a moment to catch my breath, standing several feet behind Carl as I look around, broom at the ready. There's nothing here. What the fuck? Sure enough, the crawl space looks empty. There aren't many places to hide either. What the hell's going on, Carl? He doesn't answer me. He's staring at the bins. Did you put the bins back? I look down and the bins are gone. I look back where they were originally, and sure enough, they're neatly stacked right where we found them. I honestly don't remember. Did I move them back? Maybe it'd be something I might do. I try, but I just can't remember. Maybe? Dude, come on. I really don't remember. Carl walks further towards the back, ears perked, looking left and right as he clutches his knife. I start to follow, but that's when I notice something at the left of my vision on the ground. Looking down, I see something fat and hairy ambling slowly over the tarp. A giant fucking tarantula. The following few moments are a blur, but the next thing I know I'm going up the stairs on my feet and paws grabbing the door frame to pull myself up. Jeez, what happened? I can hear him running up behind me, so I turn to warn him. Look out, a big spider! The breath keeps catching my throat. I think I'm hyperventilating. I'm still clutching the door frame as Carl follows up behind me, his eyes wide. Come on, Chase, this is crazy. No, huge, a blonde. No fucking way. And looks excited. He turns back to the crawl space. I feel numb right now. It's all too much to handle. What the fuck is even going on? Oh, which way? Shakily I point towards where the spider was crawling. Carl squints and walks down the steps, looking around. Careful. If it really was a blonde, there's not much to worry about. I hear they're actually pretty gentle. I gulp and don't say anything. My head is pounding and buzzing, which for some reason doesn't exactly feel like it has anything to do with the adrenaline rush. It's more like a bad headache. Carl looks around a while longer while I focus on the steps, making sure nothing starts crawling up them. Don't even care about the possible hobo anymore. Finally, Carl comes back, looking confused. Well, there's nothing there. You know, sometimes I see shit when I'm really tired. Want to go back upstairs? There's nothing there. This can't be happening again. And as we go into Wednesday, let's leave things there for now. Oh, we're going to save this here. So I hope you enjoyed going back into Echo here. It's nice to be back there. Well, in a way, it's Echo after all. So I said this will be an occasional series. And speaking of series, I'm not quite sure what's coming up next. It's the end of May. We might have the last bit of Minotaur Hotel's current build. I might do that in a week. It's going to be a shorter video, just finishing things up there. And then there'll definitely be some more Tennis Ace coming up. And we'll see. I'm not quite sure when some things are coming out, so I can't really plan too much at the moment. But I do have a couple of VNs in mind. I'm thinking of introducing an occasional series as well. But I will be contacting the creators and see what they think first. So before we go, let me just mention Sindri Dragowolf, Grizz, Evan King, David Taylor, The Beholder, Samuto, Dissonance, Brandon Bradford, Anubis Silverwind, Ida Corval, Tiger Cub, Rusty Alvarado, Gunnar Muller, Brian Hall, and Marcus, who are all the top patrons. I do appreciate their help, and all my other patrons as well. It's really nice that you guys help out the channel like this, and I'm glad you enjoy what I do. And even if you aren't a patron, I still hope you enjoy what I do. It means a lot that you all take the time to listen to me talking over VNs. I still don't know what the attraction is, but people seem to like it. Anyway, that's it for now. So until whatever the next video happens to be, we'll find out, because I'm curious what it's going to be as well. Until then, bye for now.